Now it's time for a business spotlight. This is the Adelaide Project.
Hello and welcome to the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, brought to you by podcastcity.com.au. If you're looking for a way to engage with your audience with your amazing content, then you need to talk to them about producing, recording, editing, videoing, and distributing your very own podcast. Just go to podcastcity.com.au. I'm Ron Fiedler, and it's great to be back with you for another episode of the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight. Did you know in Australia, according to the RSPCA, there are currently an estimated 28.7 million pets in Australia, and we have one of the highest pet ownership rates in the world. Approximately 69% of households in Australia own pets, with dogs being the most common at 48%. And a common phrase to describe the strong bond and companionship between humans and dogs is that a dog is a man or a woman's best friend. And this reflects the deep connection and mutual love and respect that often exists between humans and dogs. Dogs have been domesticated for thousands of years and have become an integral part of human society, serving as loyal companions, protectors, and even working animals. Dogs have a unique ability to understand human emotion and behaviours, and they are often trained to perform various tasks such as assisting people with disabilities, detecting drugs and explosives, and serving as search and rescue dogs, as we saw over in Turkey with their recent earthquake. But for most of us, they are a member of our family, not just pets. And the responsibility for the welfare of our beloved dogs is up to us. We must make sure that they are well behaved around our family, friends, and the public. And the way we do this is by training them. And that's where our guest comes to us today. Known as the Canine Relationship Coach, Daniel Tropeano is the founder and trainer of Dog Club, an organisation on a mission to help as many dog owners as possible get the best understanding they can of how to live with and train their dogs. To find out more about what Daniel does and how he can help you with your beloved pet, I'd like to welcome to the podcast Daniel Tropiano. Daniel, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you very much for having me here, Ron. It's a pleasure, and I'm very excited to share some things with you today.
I'm really happy to have you on. I'm a dog owner. We have a little dog called Bella, little Chihuahua. Love her to death. She even comes into the studio. And Daniel, our pets are our family, and we want to ensure that we get the best out of them so that they can live a fulfillful and happy life. And you have spent nearly a decade of research and study on the behaviour and understanding of dogs. Why did you start up Dog Club?
Well, Dog Club is my training facility in St. Mary's, and I decided to start that particular facility because I was kind of sick of driving around all over Adelaide helping people in their homes. Mm-hmm. I loved helping people, obviously, but it was more efficient for me to have people come to me and provide a service where I could help more people with the same amount of time. Prior to that, as I just mentioned, I was doing in-home consults. But why I got into dog training, more importantly, is because I was someone who had a dog that needed help. When I got my first dog, his name was Caesar. He was a American Pit Bull Terrier. Mm-hmm. I was 19 at the time, and I did what most people do and assume that the dog will just assimilate into life, into our lifestyle, because, as you just said, a dog is a man and a woman's best friend, right? So we get sold the Disney story that we're meant to be together, and something that is very much overlooked. You kind of said in your intro that they are our pets, they're our companions, we love them, but unfortunately, we overlook the fact that the love and companionship should come as a result of the work that goes into the relationship, not as a foundation of the relationship. And I think that society today has it too much in the reverse, where it's all about love and affection and not about putting work into the relationship so it's a productive and effective one.
Do you think, Daniel, that we are taking the animal instinct out of them by doing this?
Well, anthropomorphism is what it's called. It's a projection of human emotion onto a animal, right? Mm-hmm. It's not to say that a dog can't feel the emotion of love or care or, we don't know yet what emotions they can and can't feel. But if we project what we would like in that moment and automatically assume that the dog should or would like that, that's where most of these behavioural issues, not respecting the animal for the animal that it is, and then really working with that to get the best out of them.
So treating an animal as human is a mistake in one sense because what we're doing is we're giving them freedom without consequences, I suppose.
Well, we have consequences.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more so a overcompensation. And the thing that I see most with people is that unfortunately we want a puppy. It's time to get a puppy, but then we feel bad because we took the puppy from its mum and its brothers and sisters, and then they take them home. And they say, it's okay, we're going to give you the best life. You've got a big backyard, you've got the whole house, and all the rules and boundaries go out the window.
Yeah.
Not that there was any to begin with. And we have to understand that a dog, when we get a puppy, is a being that knows absolutely nothing about the world.
Yes.
And we need to teach it everything. And unfortunately, through lack of wanting to put boundaries in on the being that we feel sorry for, we allow them to run rampant. And then by the time the dog's 2 years old, they've been conditioned into doing all the wrong things. And then most people reactively seek out a trainer because now it's at the limit where we can't live together anymore. It's putting pressure on our life, and it's not the picture that we had in our head of having a nice dog as a part of the family.
Yeah. And I suppose if we look at it this way, people surrender their dogs because the trainer can't help them sometimes. And it's very, very sad. But if they went when they were puppies, when they first got them and put these boundaries, as you said, maybe they wouldn't need to go down that path.
Yeah, well, exactly right. The approach that I take is to teach my students to proactively train their dogs. That means teach your dog in every scenario that it's going to be in for its life how you want it to be, just like we do with our kids, right? That would set the dog up for success from the start.
Yeah.
As you said, sometimes a trainer can't help. I believe that there's just the wrong trainer involved. We could spend a whole episode talking about training ideologies.
Yes.
It reflects society as a whole these days, just like our political divisions, just like our almost even with children these days. You're not allowed to put too much pressure on the child. Cuddles and kisses fixes everything. Like we've taken the uber soft approach. And with dog training, there's a huge almost civil war about to break out online at the moment between the two ideologies.
Yeah.
And it's good because it's creating conversation and much needed conversation. So we have on one side the force-free, positive-only community, and then we have what we call the balanced community. If I had to label myself, I just call myself a dog trainer, but I'm a balanced dog trainer. So any dog training tool, any principle that's involved in the spectrum, I will use if it's going to bring results that we need in the training. Unfortunately, on the other side, which is force-free and positive only, is if the cookie doesn't work, then you can't try anything else. And I've had a vast number of people come to me who have been recommended to put their dogs on medication, right, or even euthanized because the dog cannot be fixed.
Wow.
And again, this comes into a bit of a popular saying, death before discomfort is the standpoint of the positive only. If it can't be fixed with a cookie, then we're not going to create any discomfort on the dog to help, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes with learning, as we know in our own lives, discomfort often leads to progression and growth, right? So we can't avoid it.
Yeah.
We need to know that it's there and understand how we can use it to our benefit.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think. Which, as you said, too many people are that love and this utopia of this perfect world, but unfortunately, it doesn't happen. And I suppose different dog breeds are suited for different people. And I think that's something that people don't realise that I cannot have a Great Dane. Or maybe even a hound dog because they need certain disciplines, they need certain exercises, they need certain conditions where I have a smaller dog because I know that I can take that dog with me. It sits there with us. We can take it for a small walk instead of a long walk. We've just touched on the benefits of training dogs. Why should we? What are the benefits? How can it help us to make sure that our dogs are purposely trained?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I call myself the Canine Relationship Coach because I'm actually teaching people to have a proper, fulfilling and effective relationship with their dog.
Yeah.
Rather, it's described as a symbiotic relationship. That means that both parties have to benefit from the relationship. And unfortunately, going back to the cuddles and kisses approach or it's all about the love, that is only one person benefiting from that relationship, and that's the human, right? And then the dog negatively gets affected. So through training, we can come together as a partnership. We can create a communication system between two beings that don't speak the same language. I see dog training as an art form. It's no different to going and practicing jiu-jitsu, no different to going and practicing any other martial art or any art form for that matter. Little steps, but we have success in our progress today. We don't have to be at our end goal. So that's one. The mental positive effect from that is amazing because we're connecting with an animal, and you connect on a deeper level because like me and you are talking now, we're talking over a topic, but we haven't got as deep a connection as if we had to communicate without verbal communication.
Yes.
Right? So that's the one thing. The second thing is, obviously, we're going to create, through teaching our dog certain behaviours, how to be a productive member of society. So I teach my students that the dog is a member of the family, yes. It's a worker for the family. Just like I'm a worker for the family. I go to work every day so I can help provide for my family. My wife, she works, she helps with the kids. We all have our roles to play. So why does the dog get a free ride?
Yeah.
Right? Shouldn't. And especially why should the dog get a free ride when he's not even doing the bare minimum that's going to create a positive effect on the family? So if we can turn the dog or give the dog a job, right? And his job is to be a productive member of the family, and we can create a system in which the dog understands what is required.
Yes.
You're going to have harmony in the household.
Yeah.
Right? So that's another thing. Then you can actually enjoy taking your dog to places because, and I mean, you've got a Chihuahua. They're vastly known for being little, vicious, yappy dogs, right?
Oh, yeah, yes. They are.
So you said we got an easy dog. I reckon the Great Dane could probably be easier than the Chihuahua in most cases. The fact is, when we have a dog that we know, and I use that word strongly, we know that we can take anywhere and they can be social.
Yes.
And again, social is about maintaining a neutral composure and be a part of that environment. Then we enjoy our time with the dog. We don't have resentment towards it. We don't then say, well, we don't want to take it to the cafe because it's going to yap and do all that sort of stuff. So the dog gets to stay in their backyard now, right? And no one does anything with the dog because it's a nuisance. So these are all the benefits that come from training.
So basically, without training, we are doing a disservice to that dog. We're actually letting that dog have maybe a life of misery in the sense that, as you said, we can't take him anywhere.
Yeah.
So why have we got this dog?
Exactly.
People talk about dogs and pets and all that need training. What are your thoughts on maybe having some sort of course or doing training when you do get a new animal being compulsory?
I'm all about that. I just put a press release out the other day. There was 2 Rottweilers that mauled a 5-week-old baby in New South Wales. Yeah. And we need to use, although we don't want to sit here and victim blame, right? Yeah. Because it's a terrible incident and I'm sure no one has any intention for that to happen. We need to use points like that to create the conversation in the wider society. There's no way that any of that should have happened. Yeah. Right. And the end result of those situations, the whole reason I put the press release out, because in the last line of the article, it said that after police investigated, they found to be no wrongdoing from the family involved or no charges laid. Yeah. And I didn't put it out because, they should be charged. But if that's our approach, and not just in this situation, but to the whole situation, that there's no wrongdoing by the human, right? Not that family in particular, then we're never going to change. Because if a child can die at the hand of a dog who is solely responsible, or the sole responsibility is for the owner to take care of that dog, training, house management, socialization. And if we say in that situation that the human's done no wrongdoing, it's just a bad dog, we will never change and will continue to have those types of situations happen. So there has to be the conversation had about how we can better regulate and push for people to get the training and education that they need to be able to have successful relationships with their dogs. Because it will get to a point where the government just says, okay, well, no more Rottweilers.
Yeah.
You know, right? It's banned, right? They can join the other 8 or 9 dogs on the banned breed list, right? Where really it's us that should be responsible, if you want to keep that type of dog, to understand it, understand what makes it tick, understand what fulfills it so that these things don't happen.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I mean, we've banned puppy farms and we're getting to a stage now where I think that we're being more responsible. But as you said, it's up to us. It's making sure that we've got the correct training and the correct knowledge. In that terrible situation, we don't know what exactly happened, but I've known of people who do leave young kids with dogs, and unfortunately, we don't know what their reaction may be. It could be that the child pulls the tail, or it goes to their face and they get frightened. And with the right training, the parents or with anyone that has a dog, it can change the situation entirely because you would teach people how to look for signs that their dog's distress, or you may look at ways to calm them down.
Yeah, well, that's true. But even in a situation like this, like we have training of the dog, we have management of the dog, right? So in this situation, it was at a barbecue and the dogs were loose, the family was out, the baby was in her little capsule sleeping. Now, if that was me, unless I was going to be able to give at least 80% of my attention being aware of where the dogs were, what they're doing, keeping an eye, all that sort of stuff, the dogs wouldn't even be out.
Yeah.
Right? They would be away because then I've got peace of mind. I don't need to worry. There's a 5-week-old baby around the place. Let's not even play with fire. Right?
Yes.
Whether or not the dogs had any sign of that. My own dogs, I've got Belgian Shepherd, who's 2 3.5-year-old German Shepherd and a 6-month-old puppy German Shepherd. They are only allowed around my children when I'm there.
Yes.
If I'm not there, they're away, right? And not because they've shown any signs of wanting to do that, but I'm just not going to risk it, right? And just like you said, the kid pulls the tail or goes up to the face and does something, it is more likely going to be because the child antagonizes the dog than the other way. So most people in today's society, they hope and they wish that their dog is going to do the right thing rather than know. As I said before, I really want to have that standpoint on knowing that your dog, and you can only know if you've done the appropriate training and expose them to that sort of environment and reap the rewards of that work.
Now, let's talk about that appropriate training. Now, there's some people out there that may have seen this and say, you know, I really should train my dog. What I'll do is I'll go online and I'll look at some YouTube videos because there are a lot of dog whisperers and people who are experts on dogs and they do these videos. Is that something that you should be looking at, or should we be getting professional training where we go with our dog and socialise with other dogs and also have that professional trainer like you to show us what to do?
Yep. So YouTube videos are good to get someone's interest, again, what I call the art. Now, as you know, being in content creation and all that sort of stuff, if the content is free, you're the product.
Yes.
Right? So they're trying to capture you to go and spend in their subscription services, right?
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. Like I said, if it piques your interest and you take it further, that's good. The other thing about YouTube videos, we've got no video here, but if I hold this up on the video, you can see a bottle, right?
Yes,
on one side. But what you don't see is the other side of the bottle.
That's true.
So you don't get the nuance and you don't get the three-dimensional, the view, right?
Yeah.
You might say, this is how I perceive what he's saying, but it might not be what I mean.
So when you're out there doing the training and you've got the owner and the dog in front of you, you can see things that maybe the owner can't see or understand.
Oh, definitely.
And then point out to them, hey, don't hold the leash this way, or look, when you're walking the dog, do it this way.
Yes. Well, it goes both ways.
Yep.
Because they can ask the questions to get a deeper understanding as well. But again, what most people do when they think about dog training is they think that we're training tricks and we're training exercises.
Yeah.
But where I take it to a deeper practice and kind of the system and school of dog training that I follow, I like to call it deep practice dog training, because you really learn your dog's behavior and the signs of their behavior, so you can get a greater understanding of where the dog's mindset is at.
Okay, that's very interesting, because that's something that I haven't really read or seen, is understanding the dog's behavior when you're actually training the animal.
Yeah.
So when you are training, let's have a quick look at that. When you are training, what are your techniques? Is it a group environment? Is it one-on-one? How would you, if I was going to come to you right now with my dog and say, hey, I'd like to get some training, what would we do?
Yeah, sure. So I stopped doing private consults for newcomers, right? Unfortunately, again, today's society think we got a problem, we'll get a few sessions with a dog trainer, he'll fix it and we'll move on. So I got rid of that. The way that we train at Dog Club is you sign up for a membership. Again, I've said before, it's an art form to me. So it's no different to you going to martial arts class. You don't go there for 4 weeks and then you're a black belt.
Yes.
You go there, you sign up and you keep going and you practice and you practice and you practice. So we have what we call the School of the Hard Knocks course. You sign up for a 12-month membership, and we have video content that has theory and practical tutorials to work off, and it's milestone-based training.
Okay.
So what this means is that unlike going to a 5-week obedience course where everyone starts at point A, the course finishes at point B, but most people haven't even got past point A yet, right? Or halfway there, and we're already giving them information that they're not really grasping. We now set criteria that you have to show us between you and your dog before you get to move on to the next point, which is just like your belt grading system in a martial arts gym.
Yeah.
Right? So this way, as long as it takes you to grasp that concept is up to you. How much work you put into the dog is up to you.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not going to give you false hope by saying, well, you're training at black belt level, but you still haven't grasped white belt concept. So that's that. The other thing that we do is called hood hangs. That's our daycare alternative option, right? Most daycares is about dropping your dog in a pen full of dogs for the day.
Yeah.
It's pointless, right? It is not productive. It's not teaching a dog good behavior around other dogs. All it is teaching is high states of arousal around other dogs. Most of the time, that would lead to dog reactivity, dog aggression, right?
Okay, can I just ask that? So most of the daycares, people think that their dog is being played with and looked after and all. Would you say that most of the time that they're just interacting with the other dogs, where with your facility, it's you reacting with them?
Yeah, well, that's right. So in the most daycares, about dropping your dog into a pen, there might be 10, 15 other dogs.
Yeah.
That's what they're usually told anyway from the people I've spoken to who work there. There's usually double the amount that they allow.
Wow.
And they might have one attendee per pen. Right?
Okay.
Usually unqualified, unexperienced, because they're cheaper. They're standing there. They mop up wee, they pick up poo. That's their job for the day.
Yeah.
There's always fights, there's problems, all this sort of stuff. Whereas our approach to it is keeping our dogs crated, right? And they have one-on-one time with the trainer. Right?
Okay.
A trainer will take them for a half an hour walk. They'll bring them back. They'll work on some training. And all in between these sessions with the trainer, they're having a little sleep in their crate because we're actually tapping into their mental stimulation. They get very tired. We've got treadmills, we've got obstacle courses, we've got weight harnesses, we've got everything that we can get these dogs working through. And then we also do social sessions. Now, our social sessions are the trainers getting dogs out each and working the dog individually around other dogs.
Okay.
So we like to teach our dogs that it's not just ignore other dogs in the environment.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we just let dogs go and they learn, dog equals arousal and high play state, then we take that dog out into the real world and they see another dog. They go, I know what I do in this picture. I've been taught that when I see another dog, it's playtime.
Yeah.
And then they start to get frustrated. Why? Because they're on the leash and they can't get over there to do what they want. So they start barking at the other dog. Yeah. This is where most of dog aggression comes from.
And now that's very interesting that you say that, because I suppose you hear people say, I've got to tire the dog out so that he doesn't destroy the house or he's not bored. But it's because that they're not getting stimulated and then knowing that it's time now to rest.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So we put an on and off switch in the dog, but also at the same time, if I take my high drive working dog for an hour walk every day.
Yeah.
After a week, they're going to need an hour and 15 minutes before they get tired.
Okay, yes.
If we go to the gym every day and we lift 20-kilo dumbbells, next week we need to up the weight. Otherwise, it's not as challenging.
Yeah.
So physical exercise is a good part of the overall picture, but it should not just be the only thing we do. It's the mental stimulation that's going to get you a lot further. And if you know how to tap into your dog's working mind, you can tire a dog out in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Because the whole time through that session, the dog is problem solving, working it out and getting the results themselves. So it works on the dopamine system and everything. So it's a very deep level understanding of how their mind works and how we can use that to our advantage.
And this is all done at your facility at St. Mary's, is that right?
That's right. Yep. St. Mary's is 5 Benjamin Street in St. Mary's.
Yep.
We've been there for just over 2 years now, so it's been great.
What sort of dog breeds do you get there? What sort of owners bring their dogs?
Well, because I've got German Shepherds and Belgian Shepherds, we get a lot of German Shepherds.
Yep.
We get Rotties, we get Staffies, so more of your working breeds. But we've also got Labradoodles, we've got a Cavoodle coming, we've got some Border Collies coming. So we are not opposed to any breeds coming. We've had we've had a few little Cavoodles that come through. We had a sausage dog once.
Oh, wow.
Right? So the breed doesn't matter. What matters is that it's an animal.
Yeah.
The animal is the same.
Yes.
The only difference in the breeds is that they will have preferences to the work that they do.
Right.
Because all dogs were bred for a job back in the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so when you understand that, you know what little tasks you can give them that are instinctually fulfilling to that dog. And again, that's where society needs to go back. It was only about, 100 years ago we went through the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
And all dogs became unemployed.
That's true, yeah.
Right.
We had dogs that were chasing and retrieving birds. We had
Everything.
dogs that went down rabbit holes. Then we had dogs that the bloodhounds, many different ones. And now they're more companion.
Yeah.
What about if people have, for example, a dog that is for a disabled person as a, maybe a hearing dog or a guide dog, etc. Now, we know that they're professionally trained. Would you say that what you're doing and what they're doing is similar, or is it
a different type of training?
Yeah.
Right. So they are professionally trained, obviously. They need to be signed off to a certain standard to be able to do that work. But what they focus in most assistance dog roles is to keep the dog in a low drive state.
Yeah.
So they do everything, and you see most assistance dogs, they're plodding along, and I'm here. And that's good because that's what they need, right?
Yeah.
They don't want a dog that's bouncing off the walls and, woohoo, it's time to play and have fun, right?
Yeah.
But in the working dog that I build, because I'm aiming towards competing in what they call protection sports, where they include the bite work of the dog, some tracking, scent detection, all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. We like to work the dog in drive. So the dog comes out, they're always revved up, ready to go, because the more energy they put into the work, the more flashy they look. Yeah. But when you convert that into a pet dog, it wears them out just as much. Okay. Because they could walk over to the ball and pick it up, or they could run there at 100 mile an hour and pick it up, and they're putting so much more effort into it, which shows that they love the work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. What can happen for one particular sort of dog, and I'm not talking about breed here, but I'm talking about working dog or a pet dog or one for disabilities, can be done across the board. The reason I brought this up was that I'm hearing lots more of people, not here in Australia so much, but in the United States, where they're taking them to dog trainers so they can get certified as a dog that they can take anywhere.
Yes.
And this is a problem because the real working dogs, unfortunately, are getting a bad rap because they say in a cafe, I have a permit. I can take my dog anywhere, not knowing that is not the actual case.
Yeah, well, that's right. And when America does, Australia follows, and it's already happening here. So within the last, 6 to 12 months, the amount of calls that I've had from people asking me if I can help them train an assistance dog because their child is on the spectrum and they'd like to have a companion dog for their and that's not to talk negatively about someone on the spectrum, but are you getting it because you feel that a companion pet would benefit your dog's life, or does your child actually need that dog to function in society? And I think there's blurred lines there these days.
I think so too.
Because it's just the numbers are skyrocketing, right? And it can't be that big of an increase of people understanding the benefit of a companion dog. As I said to someone on an interview last week, it's almost become a fad.
to
have an assistance dog. And with the system that we have, we got public access that they have to train up to a certain level, which again comes back to the training and behaviour of a dog. They need to be on point. But you can also get, which is a little bit of a grey area underneath, you can go to a doctor, and as long as the doctor makes a report saying that the dog could benefit your situation, now you can present that to shops, cafes, etc. And then it's up to the shop or cafe if they allow you in, right? But you get to put a vest on the dog and all that sort of stuff. Now, with the public access, because they've been signed off on that level of training, then they can't refuse them.
Yeah, that's right, yes. Do you think that we should have restriction in place? Because I can get online now and buy a vest that says that my dog's an assistant dog or a PDA, psychiatric assistant, PAD
Yeah.
dog, I think it is, and my dog is something. Should we have that as a regulation, maybe that there should be for dogs like this that are actually trained professionally, that are past all their courses, that they should have a special badge or something that they can't get online?
Well, look, they do end up with that once they pass the public access, but the problem lies within. And look, I'm not hugely knowledgeable in the assistance dog world because it's not my area, but I did have a bit of research into it just recently because I had a litter of German Shepherds last year, and one of my buyers wanted to train their dog to an assistance dog level for psychiatric assistance dog. So I called Dogs SA, which is our local association or state association that controls the dogs. And there's no real clear guidelines in terms of how you can train the dog. We know how to train the dog for the behaviour that it needs, but the most important thing about an assistance dog is that they're social and environmentally confident. So how do you train that if people are not going to let you take that dog into certain places, right? So I think that we need to look at going down the path of creating something, maybe some licenses for some smaller dog training groups, because you can get vests from certain schools or certain organisations, Royal Society for the Blind, for example, so you can develop that dog, and whenever anyone sees a vest with an organisation of that name, they're less likely to refuse. But at the same time, these people are being told that you need to pay upfront, $15,000 to $25,000, right, for a dog, and then you get to train it, and then you get access to that. Now, a lot of people can't just come up with that.
That's right.
So it's not the only path that you have to take. You can train your own assistance dog, but then you kind of get disadvantaged because you don't have the maybe credentials or credibility of that vest. So you can get your own vest, assistance dog in training, and then hope that people will let you in. But then we go back to hoping and wishing.
That's right. And the reason I brought this part up was that with someone like yourself training the dog, this means that when you see those assistant dogs out there and they're behaving themselves, they're doing the right thing, there's no reason your dog can't do the same in the sense of being part of a social gathering. I'm not talking about for assistant, but for social, to stop when they're told to stop, to not chew up the couch, not to do things that you don't want them to do. And that's why it's very important to get this training done that you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, look, I always tell people that come to me for training, I said, if we acted like dogs do in a dog park, we would end up arrested or punched in the face.
That's true.
Right?
Yes.
So we have one standard for the other. And then, again, if we went into a cafe and everyone is a part of their own group in the cafe and they are all at a neutral composure, right? Because everyone's like, we all know the societal norms.
Yes.
If someone walked in and they were like 10 notches above everyone else in the energy level and came and sat down and helped themselves to your table and all that sort of stuff, we would think, what is wrong with this freak? Right? But we don't have that same approach with dogs. I've had someone follow me around an oval before. I asked her, please take your dog away from my dogs. We're training. And she told me that her dog had the right to play with my dogs. And so, So I walked around 3 times. She followed me different spots to try prove a point. And her dog was not even playing. Her dog was chasing my dogs while they were chasing their ball and nipping at their heels. Right? She even went so far as to apologize to my wife because I started getting a bit angry. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry you have to deal with this. Deal with what? Just go away.
Yeah, exactly right.
So,
Wow.
like I said before, we've gone way too far to the left on this issue where, the rights of the dogs and the rights of the people, and you can't say no and you can't make anyone offended. No. Everyone should be able to go to that park and have their own interactions. If someone did that to us while our kids were there, they would be arrested.
Of course,
right?
of course.
So what is the difference for an animal that's in our care?
So let's talk about that, the training. You do training. You've got different classes and all. Let the listeners know what sort of classes that they can attend with you. You talked about the membership you've got.
Yep.
And that way that they can come and train their dog and be part, if they go to a dog park or they're going somewhere with their dog, knowing that they're going to be able to interact correctly.
Yeah, sure. So we got the School the Hard Knocks course, which is our main educational course. We have classes on a Monday and Wednesday night at 6:45. We also have a class on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. In terms of the class structure, it changes day to day.
Yeah.
I might go in with a plan and then, just the other day someone said, I was a bit concerned about how aroused my dog was when he got out of the car. So the whole class worked for the whole hour and a half of getting their dogs out of the car and into the facility under control and in a state of mind that is productive.
That's
not
great.
Getting too amped up and that. So that's our course with the video content for theory and practical tutorials. And then we've also got the Hood Hangs, as I said, which is our answer to the daycare service. And then for existing clients, we do private sessions. So if you're training and then you say, hey, I'm not grasping this concept 100%, can we do a private session? Sure, we can work that out. So that's what we do.
That's fantastic, and you got some options there. And I like it that it's after work, not during work hours.
Yeah,
so
well, that's
that
right.
helps a lot of people. Daniel, this is probably how long's a piece of string. How long does it take to train a dog?
That depends on what your end picture is going to look like. But training is for life, right? Every time we stop at a stoplight, we're reinforcing the fact that red means stop.
Yes.
So we don't ever get to a point where our dog no longer needs training. Again, this is where it's a little bit of a misunderstanding with society. Oh, we went and we did 4 weeks at puppy school. We've done dog training. No, what we're teaching you is how to create the dog's continuing education as a part of their everyday lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? So, you will see results after one session.
Yeah.
You will see longer lasting results after a few months, right? Just because your dog does something in session 1, you come back the next day, it doesn't remember what it did, right? So this is, again, what we teach our students is the dog doesn't have to be successful at the job today.
Yeah.
It has to have success in the job today, right? So as long as you can find those little successes in your sessions, in your weeks, in your months and your years, then you will always have a positive and productive relationship with your dog.
That's fantastic. And that's what it is. It's having that positive relationship with your dog and making the dog not an equal, but understanding that, they have boundaries and we must enforce those boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of people that talk the alpha theory, being dominant, all this sort of stuff. No, I'm a leader. So I'm the captain of the team.
Yeah.
Now, in the training sense, we're partners. Right?
Yeah.
We are a team, but it's always me that is leading the team.
You're the guidance. They look at you for guidance. They
right.
look at you and say, "Hey, do you think I should be doing this?"
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I think you've hit it right on the head there.
Yeah.
That too many people are letting the dog be the leaders and not you being the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Trust fund babies is what I call them.
Trust fund babies. I like that one. Daniel, look, there'll be people out there that are going to be looking online for dog trainers and they come across you and someone else. What sets your skills apart from others?
Well, look, I don't like comparing myself to others and saying that I'm better than other people because it is an art form and there's no right or wrong. Right? The only wrong way is if there's abuse involved, right? As long as it's ethical, the dog is happy and having a good time and you're getting results, that's great. What I would say that I may do different to other people is I don't worry too much about what the dog is doing, but how they're doing it. So I don't tie myself to, my dog's 6 months old and it's not doing a 5-minute stay from the other side of the oval.
Yes.
I just want to see my dog's attitude towards the work. Its environmental exposure is good and it can succeed in life. And the rest will happen as time comes.
Yeah.
So like I said before, I like to look at the approach of training in behaviour rather than training in exercises.
Yeah.
Once I train in behaviour, I can shape back and put certain criteria on exercises.
Yes.
If I only shape in exercises, my dog is not going to be open enough to be able to transfer that learning into all different walks of life.
And that's your point of difference. That's your point of difference that people, our listeners, must understand is, it's not just an exercise, it's the behavioural. And once, as you said, you get that under control, other things can happen.
Yeah, that's right.
That's fantastic. Daniel, what is the best way that people can find out more about what you do and contact you to help them if they would like to have a dog that's more happy and fulfilling and everything we talked about?
Yeah, sure. So we've got a website, www.dogclubsa.com. We've got Facebook and Instagram. The handle is @dogclubsa. And then I'm also on TikTok as the Canine Relationship Coach.
That's fantastic. And I noticed on your Facebook page you do have some videos that you put out. So if people want to see the style and the facility, they can do that and then come along and see you.
Yes. So what I tell people is I can sit here and wow you with all the talk and all the theoretical knowledge and all that sort of stuff. Have a look at what I do with my dogs. And if that resonates with you and you want to have that sort of relationship with your dogs, then we're going to work well together.
Fantastic. Daniel, it has been great to speak with you today. And for all of our listeners out there, if you are looking for someone to train your dog, then you need to contact Daniel today. What I'm going to do is put all of Daniel's contact information and links on our Facebook page, and also they will be in the show notes. Daniel from Dog Club, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Today on the Adelaide Project Business Spotlight, we have been speaking with the founder and trainer of Dog Club, Daniel Tropeano, a professional dog trainer who is known as the Canine Relationship Coach. This podcast is brought to you by Podcast City. If you would like more information about starting your own podcast, from planning your podcast to recording, editing and distributing your own podcast to the world, simply go to podcastcity.com.au. I'm Ron Fiedler for the Adelaide Project. Until we meet next time, bye for now.